Hello, everyone. So glad you're here. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to give everybody some time to join. Somebody says hi, Paige. Hello. For those of you who are here already, let us know where you're joining from. Awesome. Ann Arbor, Michigan. Cool. I'm in Chicago. I'm in the suburbs now, actually. Southern California. Awesome. Oh, wait, Laura Torres. I know you. Let's see. Texas. Also Chicago. Awesome. Cleveland. We've got a lot of good Midwesterners here. Nigeria. Not in the Midwest. San Diego. Awesome. Well, some of you have much better weather than we do right now. We've had this week it's been like 30s and 40s Fahrenheit, and it feels like summer. Cool. Okay, let's just give people one more minute. Another Chicago. Windy City. Oh my gosh. We're all here. Awesome. I'm curious too, before we get started, I want to know how many people were on the last session, the Lunch and Learn with Sydney, where she ran you through some of JobScan's tools. I'm going to wait a minute to see those answers come through. The audio should be on for this session. I see somebody saying that it's not working. That might be on your end. Okay, I see one person says they attended the Lunch and Learn. Couple people. I'm asking because we may have time for me to run through a couple of tools that relate to ATS and optimizing your resume for ATS. So I just wanted to get a feel for how many people already saw those tools, but I may run through them either way. Good. Looks like a lot of people attended it. That's awesome. For anybody that didn't, the recordings for these sessions are all going to be shared with you. Okay, I'm going to get started. Again, I'm so glad you're here. I know a lot of you are wondering whether these sessions are being recorded. Yes, as I just said, they're being recorded and will be shared via email in the next couple of days for anybody who registered, which you all did. So give your job search a boost with an exclusive offer for JobScan Premium. If you have been attending the other sessions today, I might sound like a broken record, but you'll see below me there's a URL where new JobScan Premium users can save 20% on JobScan Premium. This only lasts for 72 hours. And when you go to that link, if you are a new JobScan Premium subscriber, never have used JobScan Premium before, when you click on either the monthly or the quarterly plan, that discount will be automatically applied. And it will be auto applied for every billing cycle following. So if you hang on to your JobScan account for more than 1 month or 1 quarter, the next time you're billed, you will still get the 20% off discount. Okay, I now, as usual, have to try and keep my eyes off the chat so I can get started. Okay, let's get going. Today, I'm going to be giving you the inside scoop on applicant tracking systems and tailoring your applications to stand out in the digital stack. My hope is that this session will equip you with the knowledge and tools to turn your resume into an ATS superstar. So I'm going to share my slides here. Again, this is going to be about ATS Revealed, the truth about applicant tracking systems. And give me just a second. Okay. All right. So about me, I am from JobScan, and I've been with JobScan for 9+ years. I am one of our longest standing JobScan employees. So I know a lot about our tools, and I've seen every iteration of our tools and our team. And I can very truthfully say that it it's our tools have grown in such an amazing way with feedback from all of our users. We really take everything you guys tell us and we apply it to our products. Our goal is to get you hired so that you don't need to use JobScan anymore. And I'm really passionate about doing things like this. I love talking to job seekers like you and helping you solve your job search challenges. Like I said, we all care about you guys and what you have to say, and I really pride myself on that. So I'm really excited to have you all here today. I hope you've been enjoying the other sessions today, and if you haven't been able to attend them, again, you can watch those recordings in the coming days. All right. So before we get started, again, I just want to mention that 20% off for JobScan Premium for all registrants. Um, I again, if you already are registered for JobScan Premium or have ever used JobScan Premium, even if you're still in the trial period, you are not able to use that discount. But any new subscribers can use it. Okay. Please put any questions in the chat box that I'll address during the Q&A. I'm hoping to have like a good we'll see. I'm hoping to have a good, like, at least 10, maybe 15 minutes for questions. So put those in the chat box. My colleague Kelsey is in the background, and she's going to be saving those questions for me so that I can address them in a little bit. All right, so today's agenda, I'm going to run you through applicant tracking systems or ATS, including what they are, how they work, why they're used, and what job seekers can do about them. And then if we have time before the Q&A, I'll show you quickly two of our job scan tools, the Resume Builder and Power Edit, that I think are especially useful when dealing with applying through ATS. All right, so applicant tracking systems. In the chat, can I can you guys tell me what your familiarity is with applicant tracking systems or ATS? Do you know what they are? Have you just heard the term? Have you never heard the term? Um, I just want to kind of gauge where everybody's at. There's a little bit of a delay with the chat, so I'm just giving it a minute to see what you guys are saying. A little bit. Heard the term, yes, familiar with, very familiar. Never heard. Just a little. They're the worst. Okay, cool. Yeah, somebody said I know them from JobScan, and that's not unusual to never have heard of them or to just have learned from them or learned about them from JobScan. So um, whatever you answered is fine. When I talk to people about my job and working for JobScan, I almost always have to explain to them what an applicant tracking system is. So you're not alone if you've never heard of them. Okay, so what is an ATS? On a really high basic level, an ATS is a software that helps companies manage the recruitment process. There are tons of ATS, but there are several popular ones that are used by most like Fortune 500 companies. And I listed a few of the names here for you to check out. Oops. Mm, Andy. Sorry, guys. Hold on a minute. My slides went away. I don't know if you guys can still see my slides. Oh, there we go. Okay, thanks. All right. So the ATS that I'm going to be referencing today and that I'm going to be using screenshots from are Taleo, iSIMS, and Lever. But all of these that I listed here are really popular. And you may sometimes when you're applying for jobs, you will see the name of the ATS, but most of the time you don't really know which one you're applying through. All right. So how do ATS help manage the recruitment process? They do a few different things. They collect resumes that are submitted online. They rank candidates by scanning for relevant keywords and qualifications. Not all ATS will rank candidates, but um, a lot of them will. So we will talk about ranking as well. They filter out resumes that don't match any knockout job requirements the recruiter set. Um, a knockout question is something like when you first get into the application and it says, "Do you have 5 years or more experience, doing this?" Or "Do you have a bachelor's degree or higher?" Um, those are knockout questions. So if you answer like, "No, I don't have 5 years experience," or "No, I don't have a bachelor's degree or higher," those they will throw you out of the, the running. So that's part of what ATS do. They filter out those resumes that don't match those knockout requirements that are set by the recruiter. And then ATS also track each candidate's progress through the hiring process. So as usual, I can't keep my eyes off the chat, and I see people talking about ATS and saying like, "Are ATS the devil? They're the worst." And yeah, we feel that way as job seekers. However, they are a really necessary part of the process for hiring managers. Um, ATS saves employers time and money while ensuring the best candidates' resumes make it through. And I'm going to share another slide in a minute that will show you a little bit more about that. And then what challenge do ATS pose for job seekers? Even if you're the perfect candidate for the job, if your resume is missing relevant keywords, it might never be seen by the hiring manager. And that's where ATS resume optimization comes in. So I always like to show this when I'm talking about ATS because the reason they're so necessary for hiring managers is because of what the job search landscape looks like these days. There is so much more competition because of online applications, because of things like Easy Apply and Indeed and Monster and all those platforms where you can save your resume and just apply like this. There are an average of 250 applications per job listing, and honestly, anecdotally, when I have talked to other recruiters and hiring managers, it seems like 250 nowadays is kind of like the low end of that range. I know with some of the Fortune 500 companies, they're getting like upwards of 1,000 applications for their job listings. Um, and then ATS are used by 99% of Fortune 500 companies. So it is very relevant. Even if you've never noticed that you're applying through an ATS, if you're applying online, in all likelihood, you are applying through an ATS. And then the recruiter, for those resumes that they do look at, they only are looking at them for an average of 6 or 7 seconds. 2% of applicants get interviews and one person gets hired. So all of these little pegs up here are those 250 applicants. Only 2%, the orange guys here, get interviews and then only one person gets hired. So I mean that can show you how juggling is really tricky for hiring managers to because normally they're not even just trying to fill one position. They have multiple positions listed at once. And the ATS helps them keep organized and it helps them filter those applicants. So let's take a closer look at ATS. So this is the recruiter view or the hiring manager view of a candidate profile. And this is from Lever, which is a one of the most common ATS. The candidate profile is what is automatically created when you hit apply um, on an online application. So a candidate profile is automatically created for you, and it has your resume, and it has kind of like just a summary of who you are as an applicant, and this is what the hiring manager will see before they even click into your resume. And then this is another recruiter view from Lever. This is the search function. Um, you can see up here the recruiter searched for SaaS, and they're looking for the most qualified applicants based on that keyword or skill. So when they search, it is going to rank these candidates based on who has that keyword listed in their resume. And then the candidates who have that keyword listed the most times in their resume are going to jump to the top of that list. So that's why we talk so much about resume optimization and keyword optimization, because whether or not these candidates are even the best fit for the job, they're the ones that have the keywords that are being searched in their resume the most. So that, you know, as far as the hiring manager is concerned, that makes them the most qualified. I have another recruiter view here. This is the search function again. This is from another popular ATS called iSIMS. Um, it looks about the same. You can see, I just wanted to show another ranking view. Um, ATS differ in certain ways, like um, from platform to platform, but for the most part, they function in a really similar way. So again, like this recruiter searched for business management, and these are the applicants that popped up. I see people asking about keywords already, and we will get to that. Um, but you will need to start thinking about keywords for every job application and for every job that you're applying for. One more recruiter view here, and this shows role fit. iSIMS does this particular function called role fit, and it actually will like rank with a little dial how how if somebody's a good fit or not, and above other people. So it says here match of skills and experience for this role, and then tier of matched candidate. So it gives them a couple of different um, rankings, and I think it uses AI to do that. Oh, okay, one more. Another recruiter view. This is from Taleo. Taleo is another really big applicant tracking system, and they do something called rec rank, that actually ranks each candidate with a percentage. And then they'll still show up in that order, but with a percentage instead. So you can just get an idea of how these different ATS function differently, but also how they really, for the most part, function in a very similar way. All right. So, what can you do as a job seeker? I know that all the information I just threw at you probably made you feel very doomed, but you're not. I like to think of this as a job seeker, you have a responsibility to be aware of the ATS and to learn to present yourself in the best way for whatever job you're applying for. Um, the first thing you can do is create a strong base resume. If you're going to be optimizing your resume for every job you apply for, which you should be, you need a strong base resume. That way you can save time. You don't need to start fresh with a brand new resume every time you apply for a job. You just need to have the bones in place, and then you can save time optimizing. You can have a keyword section where you can switch in different keywords and skills fast. Um, you can, have a summary statement at the top of your resume that you kind of tweak for each job you're applying for. Maybe that's where you put your the job title or some skills. So there are kind of, yes, you need to have an optimized resume for every job you apply for. But there are ways that you can make that more efficient. And then one of obviously my biggest suggestions for how to create a base resume is JobScan's Resume Builder tool. This is one of our newer tools. It's something that our users were asking for a long time, and frankly, it's really rare to find a resume builder that is free, and ours is. I think with a lot of resume builders, you kind of get to the last stage after putting in like all of your information and spending all this time on it, and then it tells you have to pay in order to download your resume. But um, with our resume builder tool, you can build a base resume for free, and then you can go right into the rest of the product to use the Power Edit tool, which is the other tool I suggest for getting past ATS. So, and that brings me to number two. You need to optimize your base resume for every single job. And the reason for that is you need to rank in the ATS in order to get your resume seen. And how? With our Power Edit tool. I see lots of questions about keywords. I promise I'm going to talk more about them. And we do have time. I know some of you were in the last lunch and learn session, but I would like to show you a couple of our tools that apply to keywords and ATS. Real quick, I know we already shared this a little bit, but this is the promo code for 20% off JobScan Premium. It's good for 72 hours. I saw a question asking how long it's good for. All right, I am going to now share my screen. All right. Okay, so this is our resume builder. This is what I want to show you guys first. The other cool thing about our resume builder in particular is that it helps build resumes that are ATS optimized. So rather than just building like a, boilerplate resume, this one is ATS optimized. Sorry, I want to make sure I can see your comments while I'm doing this. Okay. So you can import your resume. You can import your resume from LinkedIn, or you can just start fresh and create a new resume. I'm going to show you that. If you have a resume that you like, you can import it and kind of see what's missing based on our fields that will populate here for you. So I'm going to type in the job I'm going to be applying for. And then it says suggested skills here. So it's going to give me a bunch of suggestions based on the job that I just entered in. I can click on some of those. I can come down here and type in other skills that aren't mentioned. And then when we come over here, you can choose one of our ATS-friendly resume templates. We know that these all are formatted in a way that will parse without issue into the ATS. So the ATS kind of pull the information out of your resume in order to put it into your candidate profile. So that's why weird formatting like columns and like unusual fonts, text boxes, weird things like that, it might miss information that is within those formatting boxes, and those won't get entered into your candidate profile and then won't be searchable by the recruiter. So it is really important to have an ATS friendly resume template. A lot of people will ask at this point, like, look, I spent $1,000 having a resume writer build the perfect resume for me. I don't want to start from scratch. And I recommend using that perfect, visually appealing resume when you get to the interview. You can hand a hard copy of that to the person interviewing you. At this stage of the game, when you're just applying for jobs, you really need an ATS friendly resume template. So next, it's going to ask for the information about me, so I can enter that in. Email, phone number if you want to. Your LinkedIn link is a great thing to add. Hit continue, and then I'm going to add my work experience. So I could obviously put in JobScan. I could put the summary here. Another great thing about our resume builder is it will automatically format your dates of employment and dates of education if you choose to put those in there. It'll format them correctly. ATS are picky about date formatting as well, because when they put that information in your candidate profile, they really want month and year in order to have it in the right order. So if you don't put month and year, it could kind of skew how your information is set up. So obviously I would put more information than this, but trying to speed things along. I could add more work experience. I could move on to education. Can add in my education here. You're all learning a lot about me. And then I'm actually going to choose not to put my start and end date um, for my education. If you're somebody like me who's been working for, 5, 10 or more years, you really don't need to have your start and end date of your education. You need it for work experience, but you can choose to leave that off for education, especially if you're concerned about ageism in either direction. Same goes for GPA. Don't feel the need to put that there unless you're a recent grad. Okay. And then you can choose to add other fields like core skills, certification or certificates and certifications. Those are really awesome if you are changing careers and looking for a way to bulk up your resume with experience or skills that are searchable by recruiters, awards, volunteering, projects, languages, publications, and interests. So we've got even though this is a resume builder and it's kind of doing a lot of the work for you, we have a lot of different ways that you can really make it your own and make it personal to you. All right, when you're all finished, you can either continue to our jobs function or you can just download the resume to your computer. Um, I want to quickly, let me see, I want to check on these comments. We'll have time for Q&A in just a few minutes, but I do want to just oh gosh, so many good questions. I don't want to get too distracted. Okay. All right. I want to quickly show you guys our Power Edit tool, which is really all about resume optimization. So what I just showed you was our resume builder. Once you have a resume, a base resume that you're happy with, then you would move over to our to our Power Edit tool, which is our resume scan tool, and you would start to optimize that base resume. So what our Power Edit tool does is it takes your resume. This is a resume that I already had saved in here. If you didn't, you could upload a resume, or I believe you can also copy and paste it in. And then you would grab a job description. This is a job description I got from Google. I just pasted the whole thing in there. And then I'm going to hit Power Edit. Now it's scanning my resume specifically against that job description. And it's going to give me a match rate score over here. It's given me a 35%, which honestly, if any of you have been using JobScan, you know that you might be getting a lot lower than a 35% on your first scan, and that's really normal. Sometimes when I'm running it for purposes like this, I'll even get just like a low score. So don't be too discouraged by that. The only time I would worry about like a match rate that's too low is if you're finding that like you can't add enough keywords to get it to like a 65%, because that might just show that you're not the right fit for these jobs that you're applying for, and you kind of have to, switch gears. So now with Power Edit, I can see my resume right here, and I can actually click into my resume and make changes right here as well. So we're going to show you things like searchability, um, contact address, email, phone, anything that has a green check mark means that my resume already contains this information that is important to ATS. We look for section headings. Again, that's really important for parsing information from the resume into the candidate profile. Don't get too creative with your section headings. You want them to just say exactly what they are: education, work history, skills. Don't try to get like, overly creative with those. We also look for job title match. If you've attended any of the other sessions, I feel like job title match has come up a few times today. So I won't spend a whole lot of time in there, but job title is if you can match your current job title or a job title you've had in the past to the job title that you're applying for. That is almost sure to be one of the top keywords that the hiring manager will be searching the ATS for. So in this case, I would want to see if that was a possibility for me to match my job title currently with the job title I'm applying for. Date formatting, like I mentioned, months and years are important for information to be parsed correctly. Education match. So if the job description says something about an education requirement, like a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, the our scan tool will look to see if that uh, equal or higher uh, education is mentioned in your resume. And that's for the purpose of knockout questions. We want to make sure that you're applying for jobs that you're qualified for, because if you're not going to hear back. It's just going to be disappointing. And we know that job searches are hard enough and disappointing enough as they are. So we want to make sure that you're applying for the jobs that you're the most qualified for. Okay, we also look at hard skills. This is the most important part of your whole ATS optimized resume. These hard skills are those keywords that this is the keyword matching portion of your resume. So you'll notice as I go in and start adding things to my resume here on the right, you'll notice that hard skills will make a big impact on raising my match rate. So these are ranked in order of importance or of keyword frequency. So I know that communications is an important skill because it's listed 5 times on the job description, and I already have it listed 9 times in my resume. So I'm going to leave that one alone. I don't need to add it any more times. That's going to be probably a hot ticket keyword that the hiring manager is going to use. And I have it listed a lot of times already. So I know that I have a pretty good chance of being higher on that list if that's a keyword that is going to be searched for. But this one here, it's listed 4 times in the job description. I don't have strategic marketing in my resume at all. And since this is number 2 on my list, I definitely want to see if there's a way that I can add that to my resume. Our tool uses AI to give suggestions for those phrases. So if you kind of need a little help figuring out how to add that to your resume, you can just grab one of these and it'll copy it. And then you can click right into your resume, paste it in, and give it a minute, and it's going to think about it. And then it raised my match rate to a 37%. So just by adding that one skill one time, it really improved my match rate. So I would spend the most time here. I would continue going down this list, especially focusing on these red X's that are closer to the top, and see where I can add those keywords. If you can't, you can't. And you never want to lie or be dishonest on your resume, because the goal is for the hiring manager to get it, and for them to read it. And um, obviously, you don't want to get to the interview stage and have them realize that you are not who you said you were. So I want to just kind of zoom through this last part. So soft skills we talk about too. Those are important. They'll have less of an impact on your match rate, and they have less of a chance of being like searched for by the hiring manager, but they're still important. So it's worth taking a look and seeing if anything is like going to be easy for you to add to your resume. And then we have a recruiter tips section. This is the only section in our match report here that focuses on something other than ATS. It focuses only on what recruiters want to see when they get your resume in front of them. So things like job level match, things like measurable results. If you don't know much about measurable results, go to JobScan's blog and read more about them. They're like super valuable for any resume. They show that you really have experience doing what you say you do. And they can replace a lot of that fluff that is just not necessary in your resume. Then we look for resume tone, web presence, and word count. Okay, I know that was a lot of information in a short period of time, but I see so many good questions. Oh my gosh, there are so many pinned questions. So I want to make sure I can get to some of these. So I'm going to keep this promo link up here so you guys can, type it out. And we also have a QR code in the corner that you can use. All right. Let's see. Okay, I am going to look at cover letters. I didn't talk a whole lot about cover letters. Bill says that he's been told to make his cover letter the first page of his resume when submitting applications to support getting high match on key terms. Does JobScan help with this? Yeah, the reason that's been recommended to you is because cover letters also go through the ATS, especially if you include it as the first page of your resume. If you have the time and you want to create a cover letter, make sure it's ATS optimized. If it is, then I think that sounds like it would be a good idea to give you a better chance of ranking. My recommendation has always been based on our hiring manager and contacts that cover letters are not necessarily all that important these days. However, if you attended the keynote speech this morning, we learned that cover letters actually do help people get hired more often than those who don't include cover letters. So I would say if you have the time, or maybe if a job looks particularly appealing to you, go ahead and do a cover letter. Definitely include a cover letter if it is asked for in the job description. But I would say don't feel like you absolutely need it. Okay. We're told to use AI to optimize your resume. Then we're told that companies have tools to see if you're using AI. What's the right answer? I get it. There's a lot, especially when you're hearing from so many experts over a 2-day period, you're going to be getting some responses that feel like they're conflicting. One of the things I really like about events like this is that you do get to hear what one expert says versus another, and you kind of have to take what you want and leave the rest. Um, what I will say from attending the same events that you all have today is that any of the AI tools that or any of the tools that can apparently, um, like, detect that somebody has used AI to build their resume, they don't actually work. I have never heard of somebody, using AI to help with their resume and having that be detected. I don't even think that, hiring managers would have the time to care about that. But using a tool like JobScan, think of it as a jumping off point. Think of it as something you come to and you use Power Edit to make sure that you're including all these skills, but you still want to make sure your resume is your own. You still want to make sure it sounds like you, make sure it's not overly optimized because there's a sweet spot. You don't want to have a resume that sounds like a robot wrote it. Um, so even when we talk about like job scans match rate, we've always said we recommend an 80% or higher. Um, if you have like a 65% and you started with a 25%, you already are way more competitive than somebody that didn't use JobScan at all. We've heard a lot of success stories with a 60, 65, 70% match rate. Um, and and on that same token, I would say you don't want to you don't need to feel like you need a 100% match rate with JobScan either, because that might be getting to that threshold where, it sounds a little bit too robotic. So, do your best to kind of figure out what works for each resume and what still sounds like you. Okay, Mitch has questions about how much information ATS actually consume. Is it only your work experience? Does it review your summary? Yeah, it takes everything. So it parses all the information that it can from your resume. So as long as your resume is readable, meaning it has a format that is ATS friendly, like all of ours in our resume builder, it will take everything out of your resume. And when the hiring manager searches, um, a keyword that is anywhere in your resume that was parsed will put you in the ranking. Do ATS recognize keyword variations? I had computational biologist. My goodness, I have questions. And JobScan told me this doesn't match computational biology. Yes, Uh, most ATS do not recognize keyword variations. Thank you for reminding me to bring that up. Uh, you you do want to make sure that you have like the exact version of the keyword. So JobScan will call you out on that if you don't have the right match. And sometimes people are like, JobScan isn't recognizing this variation. And well, that's because we are mimicking a real ATS, which does not recognize those. So if a hiring manager searches for computational biologist, but what you have is computational biology, you likely won't show up because it's not an exact keyword match. So I know, kind of annoying, but it's the way it is. If you apply for a job that uses lever and job that wait, and job B that uses lever. Oh, I see. Do you have multiple records? Asking because if we're tailoring, it might be different. Yeah, if you're applying for a job through the same company, then you might have two. Yeah, that's a good question. I think you would end up having two profiles within the same company. And sometimes what can happen is, say you don't hear back about the first job that you applied for, or either of the jobs you applied for, but then another job becomes available 6 months later, you're still in that company's ATS database. So if you have skills that then, get flagged or rank for the other job that was just posted, you might hear back like 6 months later about a different job. So it actually can benefit you. Um, Not sure if that exactly answered your question. Does it matter from where you apply, um, from the company site or from LinkedIn? No, if the company uses an ATS, regardless of from where you apply, it will always end up going into that same ATS. How do you add the keywords without getting flagged for keyword stuffing? That's a really good question. So, keyword stuffing is that term for, a resume that's too robotic. Sometimes what people will do is add a keyword or a bunch of keywords several times at the end of their resume, and they'll make it white font, which seems really sneaky, but most of the time it won't work out. And what I mean by that is even if the ATS never sees it, even if the hiring manager never sees it, you're going to get to that interview and they're going to say like, "Oh, tell me about, you know, your experience doing computational biology." And you'll say, "I don't have anything." So it doesn't benefit you to keyword stuff. So as long as you're not adding keywords where they sound, you know, wrong or sound like overly used, um, you'll be good. It's when you start getting like if a keyword is in the job description 10 times and you only have it so far in your resume once, that doesn't mean that you absolutely need to add it 9 more times if it's going to make your resume sound crazy. Um, so you really have to kind of use your judgment and make your resume sound like you while also making an ATS optimized resume. It's kind of an art and a science. And um, I know that I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. I think we probably have time for one more question. Um, does adding columns to list your skills translate in ATS or should we avoid it? Yes, stay away from columns. However, a skills section is a great thing to have. Just call it skills, and that's a really easy place to switch in and out keywords on your base resume. You can also add your level of proficiency if you really want to make sure it, doesn't sound keyword stuffed. Give it a little bit of backing by saying that you're, highly proficient or, you know, whatever level of proficiency you are. Um, yeah, that's a great way to do it. But yes, no columns, no tables, um, no like weird fonts or anything like that. All right. I'm gonna throw this promo code ticker back on the bottom here so you guys can have one more place to look at it. You can also use the QR code or just um, type it in from here. Let's see. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I loved having you here. And if you joined late, just a reminder that the recordings will be available after the event. So keep an eye on your inbox in the coming days. The recordings also for events that you were not able to attend will be accessible. And if you don't have JobScan Premium, please do take advantage of that promotion that we're running. You'll get 20% off JobScan Premium if you've never registered before. And again, if you go to that URL, the discount will be applied automatically when you click on either the monthly or the quarterly plan. And you'll have that 20% off discount for every billing cycle. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And if you have time, stick around for the next session with John Ribeiro about how to show off your best self in job interviews.